So I'll be providing today an overview of this entire project that Sarah and I is currently involved with. Okay, so this project it spans roughly a 2 month period. So I'll proceed by giving an overview of the actual step-by-step approach that Sarah and I would be taking, and then an actual overview of our activities in last month. So to bring some context, there's a joint roadmap to accelerate marine spatial planning worldwide. So the first step would be transboundary MSP. And secondly, sustainable blue growth. Third, economic-based marine spatial planning. Fourth, capacity building. And fifth, mutual understanding. Now, a lot of the presenters so far, they have touched on various components of all 5 of these. Several of the questions we see address a lot of these stages here. Okay, so currently the joint roadmap to Sarah, previous slide, please. Yeah, so currently the joint roadmap to accelerate marine spatial planning process worldwide is adopted by the European Commission, the Directorate General for Maritime Affairs and Fisheries, and also IOC UNESCO. Next. Right, so we've already seen the importance of the sea. More than 33% of the world surface area has EEZ covered by some approved marine spatial plan. And we've gone into great detail the various plethora of sectors that are involved in marine spatial planning and the blue economy. Next. So our current project activities would be as follows. So back in October, we hosted an interagency meeting with the public authorities, and that was hosted by Sarah. And that comprised of various government organizations, the various directors in different divisions across Trinidad and Tobago, touching base with them, making them aware of the marine spatial planning role in blue economy, as well as hearing some of their challenges as well. We also had a consultation meeting with the national experts, and this is a one-on-one meeting that Sarah conducted, where she interviewed various academics, various experts working in the field to get feedback on issues surrounding marine spatial plan and the blue economy. Thirdly, there was an interinstitutional meeting with public authorities at local level, and this was a meeting that focused on MSP issues at the local government level. So in other words, this interinstitutional meeting focused on the regional corporations as well as the various divisions in Tobago, because these local government institutions, the regional corporations, etc., they would be the ones that would be implementing marine spatial planning directions and the policies. These would also be the people that have to implement the intercoastal zone management plans. And we felt that it made sense getting feedback from these organizations. If they involved in implementing, it made sense, instead of taking a top-down approach, hearing what some of their challenges were in managing marine spatial planning and blue economy, and also hearing from them what are their suggestions or potential solutions in moving forward. Now, the 4th and 5th and 6th element of this project, it had to be greatly modified due to COVID restrictions. The 4th and 5th events were open day event held at the Institute of Marine Affairs, and the other event would be an open day event again with the various maritime sectors. Instead of doing an open day event, what we've opted to do is two documentaries that targets the primary and secondary schools. Now, the reason we felt that it made sense to target make the target audience the primary and tertiary and secondary school students, as well as the general public, because one, we felt that the general public didn't know enough about marine spatial planning and blue economy. Whenever we spoke to anyone in the general public, the connotation of blue economy immediately meant that we were dealing with something regarding fishing or tourism, where, and as we've seen, the blue economy is much more. The other reason we had for focusing on secondary schools and tertiary education facilities with these two documentaries was because UNESCO IOC, they've designated the years 2021 to 2031 as the decade of the ocean, which means our future labor force, our future employees in the blue economy are these current students in secondary schools and tertiary education facilities. So it made sense that these students know what are the various job opportunities available to them in the blue economy realm, as well as have a greater understanding for where they can fit into this upcoming sector. And then our last activity for this project is this national webinar that you are participating in now. Sarah, next slide. So the video production activities, they focused firstly on the Institute of Marine Affairs, where we interviewed the various scientists involved in coral reef management and monitoring, the mangrove monitoring programs, fisheries and aquaculture, the water quality department, where they focused on water mycology, water health for public beaches, water chemistry, and also governance issues, because again, the Institute of Marine Affairs is the co-chair of the Intercoastal Zone Management Committee. But I think most importantly, we interviewed their GIS, geoinformation, geoinformatics systems personnel, where we got a feel for the role of GIS in marine spatial planning. Okay, so these various departments, they would be the main components in the Institute of Marine Affairs video production. The second video focused on the Coast Guard, Fisheries Division, Maritime, and Port Authority, as well as tourism. And these the production of this video is ongoing. This is just some of the stills from the actual production that took place this week. Currently, I'm in Tobago, where the filming for the Tobago arm of this documentary will be happening today, actually. And again, we want to ensure that the general population of both citizens of Trinidad and Tobago are fully cognizant of the role of marine spatial planning in the blue economy, and in a bid to ensure that the major stakeholder, the general public, has a better understanding of the various attributes in marine spatial planning and the importance of the blue economy. Next slide, Sarah. So thus far, from the previous stakeholder consultations we've hosted, we got the following feedback. Regarding policy and legislation, we see that there's a need for development of a state-approved national blue economy roadmap or strategy, which clearly defines what blue economy means for Trinidad and Tobago. And the ICZM policy framework needs to be approved so that MSP can be implemented as a tool for ocean management. I believe this covers a lot of the questions that have been posted in the question chat group so far. Is stakeholder engagement. Through stakeholder analysis and engagement plan, we see that setting up of a stakeholder committee to ensure widespread participatory planning is undertaken in the planning process. And again, this is a part of that stakeholder engagement that we are trying to address currently. The issue of data was highlighted by members of the Coast Guard, Fisheries Division, as well as the Institute of Marine Affairs. The several regional corporations indicated that there's a need for data and there's a need to share data. I know under the Ministry of Planning, there is a national data sharing policy and national spatial data infrastructure system to facilitate the collation and best data available. Okay. Financing for the blue economy and operation of the ICCM and MSP is needed. And this again was a question addressed, right? Where does the funding come for these projects? And as Mr. Watke was presenting, he mentioned that there's a need for continuous monitoring of water quality at the various beaches. It means now that there's need for a government allocation for testing of water, a government allocation of funds needed to test water for us to maintain our blue flag status. All right, and it would be a pity if a beach loses the blue flag designation just because there's no funds available to test the water. Not because the water was actually bad, but the water has not been tested. All right, so these are some of the things that we definitely need to address if we want to really get serious about blue flag, about blue economy, about marine spatial planning. But one of the major critical sectors, and this was one that was, I believe, echoed by multiple interviews in a wide range of sectors, from the regional corporations to the IMA interviews and the various state agency sectors. Everyone indicated there's need for better fisheries management and fisheries development. Okay. National security, the security of our fishermen, the infrastructure available for fishermen, the overall well-being for fishermen, various things that we need to address in development of the fisheries sector. It's not just about catching the fish, but the fisheries sector is about catching the fish, management, gear management of where gear should be used in certain areas. And this again falls back onto the role of marine spatial planning, right? And it also goes directly to address issues of healthcare for the various sectors, especially when we're thinking about healthcare for fishermen. How available is health care? How available is health facilities to fishermen if there's an accident in Charlottesville? How available is healthcare for someone that has a dive accident in Charlottesville or in Roxborough or in south of the island? How competent are the current people that operate these facilities, such as the hyperbaric chambers, etc.? And all of these things need to be addressed if we want to think about marine spatial planning and blue economy, because these are some of the capacity issues that we need to address and put a framework in. Okay, next. Another issue that was raised was waste management. As we see that whatever happens on land directly involves the sea. One of the main reasons we are actually interviewing some of the people from forestry division, because we see the role of how we manage the forest, how we manage that forested area, all land-based activities. How does that affect our coastal ecosystem or coastal waters? So if there's no proper waste management plan, it means that it becomes very difficult to discuss how we manage the seas. Our public education awareness right now we are trying to address that by, again, having the information available via social media, via print media, via press media, etc. Again, the issue of capacity building, developing human capacity in various sectors so that MSP development, implementation and monitoring is effective. Climate change issues, this is probably one that we can't address in any short-term manner whatsoever, but it means we definitely need to be able to adapt to severe weather conditions, severe systems in short notice in many cases. I saw yesterday that our latest weather system, ETA, in the Gulf of Mexico, I believe, it tripled in size in the space of an hour. Okay, it went from a storm to a Category 4 hurricane within an hour. So it means definitely this is not just a issue local to Trinidad and Tobago, but this is definitely a Caribbean issue. It's a small island development state issue, and it means that Trinidad and Tobago definitely needs to put things in place to adapt to climate change, to adapt to strange and extremes of weather systems in short notice. Automation and digitalization of this is something that needs to be addressed at the port. These sentiments were expressed by the management of the Port Authority Services. There's need for digital mechanism and monitoring and non-compliance of certain vessels, of certain services at the port. Currently, another issue that was raised in our discussions was that certain vessels that actually come into Trinidad and Tobago waters, there's no mechanism for us, for Trinidad and Tobago to not allow the vessel to leave because the vessel is actually not compliant under wider IMO standards. So these are some of the things that we need to put in. And if we put in policies and strategies like that in place in Trinidad, it means that we attract a different type of business for our blue economy just by having certain standards, not just written down as a policy framework or as a policy document, but having a mechanism implementing it. So it's not just about how much blue dollars we want to spend and we want to invest to turn a blind eye on certain things, but we want to invest these finances in making sure that we adhere to certain international standards to bring Trinidad and Tobago up to these standards to attract international trade for the blue economy. Next slide. Oh, that brings me to the end.